to come clean.
He was perfectly happy to cooperate with the police. You know, all he asked for was a slice of apple pie with some cheddar cheese on top of it.
And according to the investigator, Ed ate the thing, and after that he told them anything they wanted to know.
They said, well, what's all these body parts in here, Ed? You know, how many people did you kill? All the dead stuff in his house. They just assumed that it was a murder victim.
All told, Ian confessed to only 2 killings. Bernice Worden and Mary Hogan. The rest of his grisly artifacts, he said, were crafted from corpses he had stolen from local cemeteries.
Plainfield woke up that Sunday morning to find out what had been living in their community for all these years, and that was Ed Gein.
My dad, he couldn't tell us what had happened. He just said, I want you to come in and watch the news tonight with me. And the news came up on the television. He was the person. I was sitting, I guess, oh my gosh, that's it.
We were all upset. We were all devastated. We were horrified about what had happened. It was a terrible, horrible thing.
It was just such a complete shock, I guess. It was something a little bit difficult to talk about.
It wasn't just the murder of Bernice Worden that was so disturbing. It was the other terrible things that he did that was upsetting so many people.
I mean, this is a guy who had been living in their
these four people stuck together, completely under the sway of this woman. So it really becomes an incubation place for madness.
Dean attended school until the age of 14. An unremarkable student, his IQ was going to be tested as average.
And when he finished school, approximately 7th grade, he mother was gone, he needed someone who literally could take her place.
Dean took these desires to ghoulish extremes. Though it remains a mystery if he ever engaged in either sex with the corpses or cannibalism, some of the discoveries police would later make defied comprehension.
There was what the police called a mammary. Vest, the upper torso of a woman that Gein had taken from the body and preserved and attached straps to. And then there were leggings that had been made from the skin of a woman's legs.
And at times it was reported that he would sometimes walk around with this mammary vest that he had managed to make from female anatomy, and he would attach it to his body.
And apparently also sometimes take one of the female genitals that he had removed from a corpse and stick those on himself as well and pretend to be a woman.
Eventually, however, violating the dead was not enough to satisfy Gein's morbid urges. It was around this time that he began patronizing Hogan's Tavern, a local watering hole owned by the bawdy, tough-talking Mary Hogan.
That was one bar that hunters would, after you hunt long all day, you would generally stop and have a soda pop. And I recall she was very huge and very jovial and joked a lot. Her nickname was Bloody Mary.
Mary Hogan was indeed a dirty talker. She spoke in profanity like a truck driver, a sailor, or whatnot.
I think when Ed Gein saw Mary Hogan, he saw some kind of grotesque, dark mirror image of his mother.
On the afternoon of December 8, 1954,
a local farmer stopped into Hogan's Tavern to pick up some ice cream for his daughter.
He goes into the bar, and he knew immediately that something was wrong.
With blood all over the floor, and
there was money on the floor, and he just turned around and beat it out of there.
Mary Hogan
was nowhere to be found. When Mary Hogan turned up missing,
there was talk about, they said they felt she'd been murdered.
And she just was missing, and they just could not find her to go to Eckford.
Police explored
what few leads they had. Ed Gein was never questioned.
No one considered him a suspect. It was too far-fetched
to imagine that the quiet, hard-working bachelor could possibly be a killer.
I can still remember, somebody said,
well, I wonder where Mary Hogan is. Boy, she's over by my place. I got her over there. And everybody said, oh, yeah, Eddie, you got her. Yeah, we know Eddie, yeah. As the leads petered out, it started to look like Mary Hogan's disappearance would remain unsolved.